Well, hello, everyone. We're going to get the webinar started here in just a couple of minutes. One of the things that we want to make sure is that you have your audio working. So if you are having any issues with your audio, I'd like you to locate the either the chat screen or the question screen and just type in a message to us if you're having any difficulties whatsoever. Very quickly, since some of you may actually be new to GoToWebinar platform, just let me take a minute to review some logistics. Now, bear with me if this is old hat for you. You each have your own control panel on the right side of your screen that looks similar to the one that's shown here on your screen currently. You can use that little orange arrow at the top in the control panel to open or close it. So in order to maintain the highest possible sound quality, everyone's going to be in mute mode except for our presenters when they're presenting. So since you're in mute, we encourage you to submit your questions or comments to our presenters and our Rotary staff members who are with us here today to help answer questions. In a moment, Lucinda will recognize the individuals that are on the presentation panel. You can do so by typing a question into the question box on your attendee control panel, again located on the right side of your screen and demonstrated there on your PowerPoint at this point. Feel free to type in your questions as we go along. So now, if each of you would just take a moment and practice using the question box by entering the name of your Rotary Club. Do we see any coming in yet? Oh,
I see Cupertino.
Danville Rotary.
Arcata
Carson
Sunrise.
City.
Tiburon.
Santa Cruz. Sunrise.
Silicon Valley Passport.
great. And Rosemary Aragon from University. And Roger Perry from British Columbia. Well, great. Thanks for doing that. It shows that you know where the question panel is. Feel free to use it. We have staff here that'll answer some of the questions as they come in, but others might be held to the Q&A portion at the very end of our seminar today. You can use the question box if you're having any technical difficulties. Simply describe the problem that you're having in the question box in your control panel, and either a Rotarian or a Rotary staff member will try to assist you as soon as they possibly can. Well, Lucinda, take it away.
Well, we have been asked by the Far West Pets Committee, that's Steve Lingenbrink and myself, Lucinda General, to conduct these webinars to support you and your club. All of the accomplishments of Rotary emanate from our clubs. This graphic illustrates the multiple layers of people and resources that you as a club president have that are supporting your plans and pulling for your success. Let's take a look at how we all fit together. Every club is part of a district. There are 30 districts that compose our combined zones 26 and 27. Take a minute to find your own district on the map and you can see if you are aligned with zone 27 or zone 26. Our zone website that you'll see listed at the top is a place that you would want to mark down for future reference. There's a wealth of information there. Now here are the people who are on your Rotary Coordinator team. Steve Lingenbrink is the Rotary Coordinator for Zone 27. And some of you have either Mitty Chang or Doug McDonald as your Assistant Coordinator. I am the Rotary Coordinator in Zone 26 with Joe Henches and Terry Amerio Bell assigned to various districts. Julie Aubry is our wonderful connection back at Rotary headquarters. Our Big West team really does operate as one unit to support all of our districts. So that's your orientation to people. What else do we know, Steve?
Well, first, I want to start by saying congratulations. In a few months, you will be in the office as the club president. You know that this responsibility is one that takes some planning. And you may have seen some presidents over the years that wing it. Most of those probably weren't the most wildly successful years for your club. And I'll bet one personal desire you each share is that when the 2021 year is over, you want to be pleased with what you and your team and your club have accomplished. This evening, we will review with you 5 relatively simple things that will assist you in planning to have a successful year. We will review those 5 things in just a couple minutes, but in the meantime, let's review the 3 essential elements of a vibrant club. We now know that our club brand and our public image drives membership. The more members means more giving to the foundation, and more giving means more big and better projects that increase our brand awareness on the public stage. Now, let me state that in a different way. The better that our Rotary club experience is, or our Rotary brand experience that our club delivers, the more vibrant our club becomes. And therefore, it's more attractive to both new members and our existing members. A vibrant club's members also tend to give more to the foundation. And that, of course, means more projects are possible, both locally and internationally. And that, of course, increases our outward-facing or public image or public brand awareness, which in turn attracts more attention and more members. So that's why the wheel is shaped the way that it is, running from brand to membership to foundation. And this is how we grow Rotary. So why should Rotarians care about these concepts? Well, for one, you're going to need these essential elements to complete your Rotary citation. Rotary leadership is consistent in using an annual Rotary citation to target different facets of Rotary. Now, the citation form that's shown on your screen is, of course, for this year, for the 1920 year. And there will be changes to the citation to look forward to next year, creating more alignment with goals that clubs are setting for themselves in Rotary Club Central. The citation deals, of course, with and will continue to deal with goals on adding members, increasing diversity, supporting our foundation, and promoting our brand, as well as member engagement and, of course, member retention. So as a president, you will be poised to take action. So why grow Rotary or strive to attain the citation? Well, first, we obviously want to have a stronger Rotary. And growing and sustaining membership is more than just membership recruitment. We know that. So we need to be certain that our club is engaging and retaining our existing members. Our ability to retain members is directly related to club culture and how that club culture creates the club's experience or the club's brand experience for guests and members. The Grow Rotary concept, introduced by Rotary International President Mark Maloney and endorsed by your incoming Rotary International President-elect Holgar, focuses on tools and action to evaluate and improve club culture to create a more vibrant club, thereby enhancing retention. That concept is reinforced in our vision statement. And let's take a look at the vision statement. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Now, these are 24 simple words that define us as Rotarians. We, of course, are people of action. But the addition of "in ourselves" to the new vision statement aptly applies to all of you as presidents-elect. Don't you agree, Lucinda?
I certainly do, Steve. But now let's take a look at the 5 items that you, as an incoming president for your club, can use to create a very successful year. First, creating a solid club strategic plan. Second, using objective club assessments. Third, strengthen our membership committee. Fourth, engage and retain members. And last but not least, leveraging the districts, the zones, and Rotary International assets that are prepared for you. The first item is that strategic plan. Plans are a best practice to help ensure that you have a sound strategy to strengthen your club. And now we're going to try a piece of technology and go to a poll. Let's see if you can answer this for us. We'll give this a few seconds to get some results. How's that looking, Joe?
54% voted and looking good. 70% voting.
There we are. So, most of you do, in fact, have a working strategic plan that you can refer to. That's good news. Glad to have such an on-the-ball group of folks on our first webinar. Now, Rotary has developed tools for your use to take the mystery out of where to begin this process. Let's look at the next slide to find the publication that is available on the Far West PEP's website for download, and it's also attached in your handout section in your control panel. This strategic plan approach has 4 phases. We know that clubs who develop a strategic plan are stronger and more solid and have a much brighter future than those that are figuring it out along the way. How do you really begin? Well, you begin by assembling a team that includes past, present, and incoming club leaders. You will be best served by utilizing a non-Rotarian or a club member with some experience in facilitation to conduct the strategic planning meetings. Equally important is to conclude your president-elect and president nominee along with the membership. If you're a small club, it's pretty easy. Everybody can be involved. Otherwise, be sure to integrate a cross-section of club members with diverse backgrounds and experience. The planning guide does spell it out in easy detail. In fact, it uses these 4 steps that are now on the screen. It's divided into 4 phases. In the beginning, you start with analysis of where you are for the moment. You can tell from the poll that most of you have actually begun this process. After you've figured out where you are, you move to phase 2, which is the creative piece. This is where everyone agrees on a vision and a goal. In phase 3, you create a step-by-step plan to reach your goal. And the final factor, number 4, builds in the time where you monitor your changes, you adjust, and measure what kind of results you have. That's it. 4 steps easily outlined in that one publication that are the basics of club strategic planning. Does that sound right, Steve?
Yeah, it sure does, Lucinda. The next step, the second step, is an item that you can accomplish by using a document that's attached in electronic version to this webinar in the handout section. You'll note in the handout section, there are actually 5 documents identified. What we'd like you to do at this point is to identify and locate and open the Rotary Club Health Check document. Were you able to locate it? Well, if you did, I'm going to ask you, Joe, to open the next poll on whether or not your club has ever utilized the Rotary Club Health Check.
Okay, we'll be closing this in 3, 2, 1.
Okay. And then if you could share the results of that poll by, there you go. Well, it looks like we had about 30% yes, 50% no, and 20% I don't know. So it looks like we have a very honest audience. That's great. As you take a look at that Rotary Club Health Check, and Joe, if you go ahead and hide that poll now. Thank you. How do you think your members would answer these questions? And why do you think every member of your club should complete the Rotary Club Health Check? Let's dig in a little bit deeper. What I'm going to attempt to do now is unmute Vic Giorgio. Vic, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great, Vic. Well, I'm going to move to the next slide. And on this first part of the Rotary Club Health Check, it's dealing with your club experience. And one of the questions on there is, do your members sit at different tables each week? Do your members sit at different tables each week? And Vic, what do you think about your club on that?
I would say our club is roughly half and half. We've got groups of people that when you come into a meeting and you look, those particular groups of people are pretty consistently together. And then the other half of the club tends to mix it up. They tend to try to sit with different people every week. And I happen to be in that latter category because I like to sit with new members, because I like to meet new members.
Great. And why do you think that might be important to mix it up with the new members?
Well, the new members are where the energy is going to come from in the future, and it's important to know what their interests are, what they want to do, so you can line them up with a club activity that is something they would want to jump on.
Get them engaged, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, Vic. Hey, why don't you hang on the line for just a minute there? Let's take a look at the next screen, which would be the following page on service and socials. Again, let's review a few of the questions, and one specifically I'd like Vic to address is, does your club invite Rotaractors to participate? And why would that be important?
There are no colleges close by us, and so Danville Rotary does not engage with Rotaractors. We do a lot of engagement with interactors.
Okay.
Because there are three or four high schools, and every one of them has interactors. And we do try to get interactors over to our meeting on a semi-regular basis to meet with us. And in the not too distant past, we've actually had one meeting where the members went over to an interact meeting.
That's great. It's the two-way street. All right. Well, last question that we'll look at is on the section of the Rotary Club Health Check on members. Now, are new members provided an orientation and an opportunity to get involved?
That is one thing that our club does well. For a number of years now, as new members come in, some member who is well versed with the club will take the prospect out for coffee and will review the sorts of things that are expected, and that is before they are brought into the club and inducted.
Great. Well, Vic, let's give you a nice virtual electronic applause for your willingness to help us out, and thank you for giving us some examples. Appreciate it very much. I'm going to put you back on mute. All right, so in summary, Do you see how you might get some very useful information if every member took the time to complete this Rotary Club health check prior to taking office? And, you know, in order to effectuate change, what might you need to do to accomplish that change? And why might that be important? In fact, after everyone has taken the Rotary Club health check, it might reveal that your club is actually ready for change. That's right, change. And if you have every one of your members complete that and it looks like they are ready to loosen up and try some new ideas, then what do? Well, let's take a look at the options that you might have. Of course, we're going to make this entire PowerPoint available to you with working hyperlinks, but maybe take an opportunity to just write down this URL at the top of the slide, the myrotary.org/en/club-flexibility. That page has a wealth of information on it, including the one that I highlighted, one of my favorite, the Rotary Club models, but also guides to clubs, satellite clubs, practicing flexibility and innovation, and many more. So again, we're going to provide this to you and it'll have the active link there, but you might want to just pause and take a moment and write that down. Has everyone had a chance to write down that URL? Okay, well, Lou, what's the third item?
Well, the big secret behind item number 3 is strengthening our membership committee. Again, we like to make you work just as hard as we are, so we're going to go to another poll. Joe, would you be kind enough to launch that for us? And on this one, you don't have to pick just one. You can be on the fence and pick more than one.
All right, answers are still coming in. I'm closing it in 4, 3, 2, 1.
So let's see. Well, thank God. This group, we got lots of membership committees out there. Some on the small side where there is a chairman, but not necessarily a committee. We're very happy that there is a big fat 0 on no membership chair or committee. Another applause for the inaugural webinar crowd. Now let's go back to that cover slide for just another minute. We know that when you talk about strengthening a committee, it's a tricky discussion because we recognize that a club of just 15 or 20 people forms a committee much differently than a club that's got 60 or 80 or a couple hundred members. The key element in all cases is that multiple people being involved and aware increases your success and reduces the stress and tension in the club. Yes, we're talking about you, the president, thinking that you've got to get all of this stuff on your own, but also perhaps if you've had that perpetual membership chairman, maybe that person is getting a little bit of burned out. Let's look at some of the kinds of things that need to be in motion in a membership committee. Who is it that is conducting effective new member orientations? When was the last time your club looked at the information packet that you're handing out? Did you know that there is a packet you can buy from Rotary.org that is the basics of what you'd like to convey, and then you can personalize it beyond that? Another thing going on, how are the members kept engaged year after year? Those are just a few samples of the things that the membership committee can do if they've got the strength and the depth. Now, that's not all of it. You can go to the Rotary International website where you can find links to a great array of online classes in the Learning Center, and much more. In that top box, you'll notice that it says you can subscribe to several different publications. The Membership Minute newsletter is fabulous. I highly recommend that. And you may find that there's some clips there, perhaps for your club newsletter or other web-related postings. It's kept fresh and current, and it's already developed for you. Now that you know where you can find these things, you are able to tell your key committee chairman and other people in your club where to get this information. You can show them now where to find it. This slide is rather important. In the upper left, we have the Membership Resource Guide, which is a PDF document with hyperlinks. Julie Aubrey keeps this document alive, and in fact, it's fresh off the press about 2 days ago with some corrections. But it's an easy way of emailing information to someone in your club who's looking for a lot of resources. It's all on that one document. The other item, as we've mentioned, you have handouts in your left panel, but we were limited in number. So this club committee checklist is available for you along with the others on the Far West website. And last but not least, the item hogging the other side of the page is the Strengthening Your Membership booklet. By looking at this index, you can see that you might just want to center in on a chapter. Maybe your club wants to focus on creating that vision, or perhaps chapter 4, engaging your club members. Each of these is able to give you solid, good information on how to strengthen your club. But chapter 4 said engaging. Steve, do you have more on the topic of engagement?
Yeah, in fact, we need to focus on why some members stay and why some members leave. Of course, you can read the slide, but we know that frequently the reason given on an exit interview for someone that leaves is personality conflicts, business problems, loss of interest, insufficient value. And oftentimes it's just that the meetings and the activities of the club have become stale. Those that stay oftentimes are talking about the fact that they love the friendships that they formed, the service projects, that they're personally satisfied, and they have a lot of pride in the club and the members of the club. But you know, how many of you have heard of that old adage, the squeaky wheel gets the oil? You know, people who complain often get the most attention. So when someone is vocal about their displeasure, you know that they're invested in the solution and you pay attention to them. The problem is most dissatisfied club members are often the least vocal. And if you aren't paying careful attention to this group, they may slowly back away from the club quietly, stop attending meetings, and eventually leave the club. This is the group we need to pay special attention to, because they can offer the most valuable insight on what your club could do better. Obviously, we need to know our members, both the loud ones and the silent ones. And your team needs to be aware if a member starts to disengage. Just as disengaged employees are inclined to miss more work, take more days off, or withdraw from challenging projects, a disengaged Rotarian will often be inclined to routinely miss meetings and opt out of activities. Frankly, we need to reach out to them before they opt out. Now, there's really no one solution. There's no one way to solve an engagement problem at the club level. One cannot engage every segment of the membership in the same manner. In fact, new members might need more help becoming familiar with Rotary itself, where an experienced Rotarian or a past leader may now be struggling to find new projects or roles that will challenge them and keep them engaged. So you need to design your engagement strategy to fit your target audience. Let's just look at a few examples. let's say you have someone that's a planner, loves planning things. How might you involve them? Or what about a person focused on local impact, or one that loves international projects, or a business networker, or perhaps a fundraising guru? Think about these examples. Do you have them in your club? And if so, how are you going to ensure to engage them all? Let's go ahead and run one more poll, Joe or Julie. Does your club take steps to engage all of your members? Looks like we've got 64% in. Keep them coming.
Closing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, could we share those results then? All right, so it looks like not an even split, but about 58 yes and 42% no. So yeah, looks like there's some work that can be done. Joe, would you go ahead and hide that slide, please, the poll? Thank you. Now what I'd like you to do, in addition to doing the poll, locate that question panel again, where earlier I had you type in the name of your Rotary Club, and take a couple moments to answer this question. What are some of the ways that your club does or could engage members that might be in danger of leaving? Again, what are some of the ways that your club does or could engage members that may be in danger of leaving? Go ahead and type them into the question panel right now.
It looks like we've got one so far. Meet one-on-one with them for a specific check-in. Take them out for coffee.
Have a friend
Recruiting.
or sponsor reach out.
Yeah, invite them to sit at different tables. Extra
Because we
club
can ask-
programs or events other than meetings. Go ahead, Joe.
We can ask those members to take a role in a committee or to be on the board.
Look back and ask why they joined and ask them if those things are still important to them or if something else is now. I like that, looking at priorities.
And extra programs or events other than meetings. Sponsor reach out.
Yeah, and ask them to help out on a project or even step in to substitute for a lead.
We offer many other different volunteer opportunities. We also frequently ask for ideas for new events. We encourage members to join a committee.
Great. Well, that's a pretty impressive list. Another one, invite to a club social. That's always a good one. That's a very impressive list of best practices. Julie, is there a way we can capture that list so that we can get it out to them?
Sure. We can collect this afterwards and send it in the follow-up email.
Great. Well, of course, we're going to make the entire PowerPoint available to you. And you can also, we'll send you a link to the recording because we are recording this evening, and you can watch it again at your leisure and write those ideas down, but we'll also capture them and send them out to you by email. So, well, Lou, I guess it's time for the 5th step, huh?
I think so. One thing we didn't think about, we may have to work on, we could actually have a drum roll right here, because this is, in fact, the 5th step that we wanted to share with you tonight. And we'd like to think it's a little bit of an obvious one. Remember what those resources are. You have the full support of your zone coordinator teams. You've got a crew of folks back in Evanston at Rotary International headquarters. And of course, you've got people in your district that you can rely on. And every one of them adds value. The reason for that big blue star is the two publications that were most impressive and can offer wonderful pieces of takeaway are the Strengthening Your Membership booklet and the Be a Vibrant Club handout. We know that they're both hot sellers. You've also been working yourself in the newly designed Learning Center. It has relevant modules on a host of subjects. You're using some of these in your preparation for pets. Think of how those modules could be used for new member orientation or helping other club committee chairmen in your club broaden their understanding of what's going on. Of course, we want to reintroduce you and familiarize you with the faces and names of your zone support team. We really and truly are at your Rotary service. Among us, we've got specialists in club planning, in implementing flexible concepts, interaction with Rotaract, and even boring things that people like to avoid, like updating club bylaws. We can help you. All you have to do is ask.
All right. Well, now we've reached the portion of the webinar where we'd like to open it up for any Q&A that you may have. And you can feel free to just enter any questions that you'd like to have addressed by us or by Julie Aubry, our Regional Membership Officer, or any of the others on the panel this evening. So feel free to put those questions in there and we'll address them as they come up.
All right, it looks like we've got one. I've found that my club won't respond to surveys or assessments. Do you have any ideas on how to get them to participate?
Wow. Well, that can be a tough one. Certainly you can use the content as a template and engage them in other ways, like through facilitated or group discussions, or maybe it could break up the assessment into much smaller sections and work with members on it over time. Any other thoughts?
Steve, I think I'd like to also suggest that sometimes, like a lot of things in Rotary, when we're dealing with volunteers, it's how we ask. If that form is handed out very matter-of-factly and it's here, complete this, it doesn't, that's not a very good sales pitch. The idea is explaining why you're trying to do something, what you're trying to achieve, and to create a little bit better understanding before they just end up with a multi-page form in their hand. But you're right, it could also be taken apart or reduced or used in installments. You just need to think through the approach of how to get people to respond.
Yeah, good point.
We've got an actual suggestion to add on there too from Stuart Rosenberg. He said we had that problem, had a little contest. We keep the questions to less than 10. Cool.
Oh, a contest on who answers it and then some kind of an award or something? That's cool.
Yeah.
Steve, I have a question here on, can we have our membership team watch this? So you might want to let them know how others can be able to observe this tape, if anything.
Yeah, you'll get a link to the recording and you can absolutely have your membership team look at that. Also, we are repeating this a few more times, at least 4. And so you're welcome to join us again if you'd like, or have others. But yeah, the recording is a really good way to get that information. And again, after the seminar is over, you'll get a link to the recording. I also see another question here about accessing the list of handout PDFs after the presentation is over. Well, the good news is all of those handouts plus the membership committee checklist are all available for download on your Far West Pets website. So you can just click on that and download it as many times as you need to, and it's all available there on your Far West Pets website. And yeah.
Steve, I think we had a pretty impressive audience tonight. I'd like to thank them all for their participation. Doesn't mean we can't answer more questions, but boy, oh boy, this was fun. I think we did something pretty darn good.
Yeah, I appreciate the high level of participation with our group, and you guys were great. And I love the way that you used both the chat panel and the question panel. Made it really interactive, and we appreciate all that you've done tonight. And with that, we will thank you and conclude this broadcast. Have a great evening.
Bye.